What is up, guys? This is Andrew with MyWatchAddiction.com, and today, as promised, we're going to take a look at my watch collection as it currently stands, and at the end of this video, we are going to be giving away one of my watches. So as I've talked about in the past, I've got, in my opinion, a relatively large collection of watches for someone that just recently started collecting. To me, it truly, absolutely 100% is an addition. I think you guys are going to see that as we go through some of my watch cases. As I mentioned, I trade, buy, purchase, sell, whatever on a regular basis. So I'll likely come back and do just a quick overview of my collection once a quarter so that you guys can see what I've gotten rid of and what watches have stuck around in my collection and why they've stuck around in my collection. And then, of course, at the end of the video, I know that's why a lot of you guys are here, we're going to pick one of you to win one of my watches. Before we get started, though, guys, the watch of the day is that Vostok Europe Anchar that I reviewed a couple videos back. I ended up going with the silicone strap on this watch because it's just a lot more comfortable, and that even though that color red is pretty bright, it's definitely growing on me. Vostok Europe Anchar for the day. So just to pre-warn you as we jump into my collection, you'll see pretty quickly there's not a whole lot of method to my madness as it relates to how I keep my watches in my watch boxes. For the most part, they're generally organized, but I know I've said I've got OCD in the past. My watches are just a little bit different. They're kind of all over the place, and you'll see that to some extent. But we've got five watch cases to go through with you guys today, and definitely if you guys see anything you like, definitely post up in the comments below and I can give you some more information about it, what the watch model is, where you can find it, that type of thing. But the one thing I will point out is for the most part, I'm going to say there might be 3 or 4 that I haven't, but for the most part, all the videos that are in my wearing collection, which is what you guys will see today, have been reviewed on this channel, and I can definitely send you guys in the comments the links to the videos for each individual watch. But let's get started. So as you can imagine, the first box we're actually going to take a look at is my Aragon selection. So as you guys know, I'm a huge fan of Aragon watches, and so this is pretty much all that I have in my collection right now. This first one is that Eragon Divemaster NH36 that you saw me review a little bit a couple weeks ago. This one actually just got back from a road trip over to Watchin's YouTube channel so he could compare it against his Eragon NH36 45mm, I believe is what he had. This guy's the 50mm. So that's got to find a home in the case. But if we take a look at these, we've got that Eragon Divemaster 9100, that's a Miyota 9100 movement. This is actually the first watch that turned me on to that Miyota 9100 movement, and loving that guy. We have the Aragon Vertigo Big Date, and then of course we've got the 2 new Sky Guardians, which use that flyback quartz chronograph movement. This was actually this watch right here was actually my first Aragon that I ever got. This is the Aragon Millipede 8040N. You guys, this was actually one of my very first Aragon videos and my first Aragon watch, the Aragon Millipede 8040N. Then we have, let's see, what else do we have here? We have the Aragon Skeleton. This is the Mopdial Horizon. And then we have the Aragon Ultra Open Heart. The cool thing about this watch is I love those steel links right there in the bracelet. Definitely an interesting watch. We have the Aragon Concept S that I actually got as a part of their mystery box that they sent out around Wing's birthday. So that's the Eragon Concept S. That guy's a big watch. That guy's 48 millimeters. Then we have, if I can get it out of here, this is the Aragon Anti-Gravity Power Reserve. Now, incidentally, Aragon did just come out with a bunch new models of the anti-gravity with different movements in them. They've got a couple slick movements, and actually I think they have one with the ETA 7750 chronograph movement coming up in the Aragon. So definitely, if you're an Aragon fan, you can keep an eye out for that one. And then lastly, we have the Aragon Silverjet Skeleton. Now this watch is a monster of a watch. This is probably one of the largest watches that I have at the moment. Doesn't get a whole lot of wrist time just due to its size, but is definitely a really cool looking watch that I like having in my collection. So this is my Aragon collection as it currently stands. I do have, right at the moment, I have 2 more Aragons as well as an Android watch sitting on my shelf waiting to be added to this collection. Incidentally, I forgot to mention it, or if I didn't mention it earlier, all of the watches that you're going to be seeing right now are watches that I have already reviewed or have already been in my collection. I have this weird thing about me where I won't add a watch into my everyday wearing collection unless I get a chance to take a look at it with you guys on the channel first. So right at the moment, I have about anywhere from 30 to 40 watches sitting on the shelf waiting to be reviewed. But what you're seeing is stuff that I've already had on the channel. So again, that's my Aragon collection. Oh, incidentally, one last thing. Yes, I recognize that this is a watch winder box and I have quartz watches in the winder. There's method to my madness with that one. I've actually was using this winder so much I burnt out the motors in this watch box. So these are actually non-functioning at the moment, so it's perfectly fine. So this next box is typically where my Kickstarter watches and or just some miscellaneous watches end up in. So starting right here, we've got the Believer from Anytime Watch Company. Still have this in my collection. Don't wear it a whole lot. It is a comfortable watch, just don't get a whole lot of time to wear it. The next one right here is that Arctic Silver Renegade with that retro chronograph quartz movement in it. Then we've got the Griffin Emblem, which has the Miyota 9100 movement. Real fan of that watch. Although I think I'm going to change the strap on this watch. The extra strap that it came with, I think would look really sharp on it. I just haven't had time to yet. Finally, we are to that Manacroft Manufactor Waldorf Multimatica, which has the 9100 movement in it as well. Loving this watch. And then we have the Zurich Trappist 1, which you guys may or may not have seen the video on. I'm liking this watch. It just doesn't get a whole lot of wrist time because it's really hard at times to find an outfit to pair something that out of this world, I guess you would say, look with. Jumping up to the top row, we have the Fortuna Senator, which if you're a watchgang Black subscriber, watchgang actually just sent out these Fortuna Senators in March 2018, but I've had this one for a little while now. Fortuna is a watch company that is quite active on social media, follows me on social media, and I wanted to pick up one of their watches to see what they were all about. So that's a Fortuna, wear it every once in a while. This is a Herder Norton. This Herder is an automatic. I don't wear this guy a whole lot because it wears really small on my wrist. I have tried to put this guy up for trade or sale on a number of occasions. Can't get any love on that watch. Nothing wrong with it. It's a really sharp looking watch, but it is what it is. Next, we have that Time Force automatic watch with the open heart. Now, this is a watch that came via the Watchgang Black subscription from a few months back, and if you remember, Watchgang actually received a lot of hate about these watches, so they sent out a replacement watch but let the people keep the Time Force watches that were sent out. I actually don't mind this watch at all, even though the dial printing is messed up on it. It's got a 0 to 60 for the 24-hour time, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but just an interesting watch, and it's also the only purple watch that I have in my collection, so that's why that one kind of sticks around. And then we have a Rain automatic skeleton. This guy is the Rain Philippe automatic skeleton. I like this watch too. I'm a huge fan of skeletons. Doesn't get a whole lot of wrist time simply because I don't know why. I don't have an excuse as to why it doesn't get a whole lot of wrist time, because it's a nice looking watch, and each time I have worn it, I do get compliments on it. But that is my Kickstarter and just kind of miscellaneous box. So the next box we have is primarily, with the exception of one watch, is primarily a watchgang subscription box. The first watch we're going to take a look at here is the Ventus Black Kite. This is an all carbon fiber watch, carbon fiber case, carbon fiber clasp, but 100% carbon fiber watch with the exception of the frame on this case. And that does have an automatic movement. That is the Ventus Black Kite. Next, we have that Santo Desert Sands. This is, if you guys remember, I received this as part of Watchgang Black. This Desert Sands model is the only Santo that I actually have left. I sold the Desert Sands Chronograph that I received the same month I received this one, and just haven't sold this one. I like the looks of it, comfortable watch to wear, no problems with it whatsoever. This one, you guys actually have not seen me review because I didn't think there was much of a point in reviewing it, because it's essentially the exact same watch as this one, with the exception of it's a different color combination. This is the Swiss Military Neptune, and these Swiss Military Neptunes, 47 millimeter dial, and these guys are both automatics. This is the first one that I received as a part of my Watchgang Platinum subscription, and I originally hated it when I first received it, but the more I wear these silicone straps, the more I realize how much I've been missing out over the past few months by hating on silicone. Extremely comfortable watches. Plus, the other thing that I like about these watches is they're very low profile, and they're just, they fit my wrist really nicely. Really comfortable watch to wear, and they've got you know, solid movements in them. I believe it's a a Seiko that's in those, but solid watches. Then it comes to this Stuart Dawson, the Stuart Dawson London. Now, if you guys remember a few months back, like a month or two back, I guess, this was a Watchgang Platinum subscription that I received, and right out of the gate, I hated this watch also. This is the watch that I mistakenly went on a 20-minute rant about it being engraved 66 of however many, I don't remember off the top of my head. But this is where I went on the incorrect rant about these watches being all serialized the same, which I was later proven wrong, and rightfully so, because I was wrong. But this watch has kind of grown on me because I'm found that I really like the lug design on these, and this leather strap is extremely soft. Very comfortable watch. This one is one of those ones that right out of the gate I was absolutely wrong about my initial assumption on, and has grown on me over time. And then we have that William Gregor that you saw me receive for Watchgang Black subscription last month, I guess it was. I actually have not even worn this watch once yet. Have not found a situation where I have wanted to wear this watch, or an outfit that I've wanted to pair this watch with. But this guy is an automatic, and a lot of people have said it looks very similar to this Seiko Alpinist. Going up to the top row, we have that Sauvet that I received as a part of Watchgang Black. I'm sorry, Watchgang Platinum. This is an automatic movement. Just a nice little field or pilot watch. Nothing real great about it. Nothing real bad about it either. I wear this every once in a while. The only complaints that I have about this watch is the strap size on this is only 20 millimeters, and the dial diameter on this watch is only 41 millimeters. So this is a relatively small watch. It just feels very, very small on my wrists, even though I do have small wrists to begin with. That's why this one doesn't get a whole lot of wrist time. The other thing that's interesting about this watch that some people hate, some people like, is in their design, they actually called for not having a 1 with a 10 in this 10 o'clock position and just putting a 0 because they wanted the dial to be completely uniform, and they accomplished that by removing the 1 from the number 10. Next is that Laco pilot watch that I received this past month. This one has gotten more wrist time as of late. I'm liking the design of the watch itself. Still not quite sure what the deal is with the second hand stopping when you wind it, but again, automatic watches I don't typically put in winders, so it's not that big of a deal. I wear this watch usually on the weekends or on nights when I'm not either working on my laptop or in work clothes. We've already talked about the Swiss military Neptune. Then we have the Armand Bossy that was sent out as part of Watchgang Black subscription from a few months back. Just a very, very plain diver. There was a lot of love for these Armand Bossies back in the day. People were doing everything they could to collect all the different colors of these Armand Bossies. A couple things that I do like about this watch. One thing that I like about it is an automatic, but it's kind of hard to see there, but there is kind of a wave pattern in that dial design. One thing I dislike about this watch that makes it kind of non-functional from a diver or field watch standpoint is there is no loom on that second hand, and I can see how that would be important during diving situations when you need visibility or low light visibility on telling time. And then finally in this box we have a Blacklist S5. Now I did a review on this Blacklist S5 not too long ago. Huge fan of the Blacklist Streetmatic watches in general. They are automatic watches. This guy in particular, this is only one of 50 of this dial design and this color combination made. Comfortable watch to wear. I have no complaints about the Blacklist Streetmatics at all. I'm a huge fan of those. So that is, in a nutshell, my Watchgang box. All right, so the next watch case that we have is actually probably the largest case that I have. We'll start right down here at the bottom with a Citizen Axiom, which is a Eco Drive. This is a solar powered watch. Nice little dress watch. This guy doesn't get a whole lot of wrist time because, as I've said multiple times, I like more busy face dials, more intricate dial designs, and this is just a very, very plain watch. But this is a nice little dress watch to throw on in specific occasions. Very comfortable. Leather strap. Again, this is a solar-powered Eco Drive watch. Next, we have the Vostok Europe Expedition North Pole GMT. I reviewed this one not too long ago. The thing that I like about this watch is that strap design that is kind of interesting in that strap. And then, of course, the GMT Complication. And the blue in this dial is just really, really interesting to me. That is a quartz watch, by the way. Next, we move to the Vostok N1 Rocket. This is an automatic watch. Very similar to what I've mentioned about a lot of the Vostoks in the past. They wear really, really big because of the lug design as well as the molded strap design. So this one doesn't get as much wrist time as it could or should, but it's still a watch that I enjoy in my collection. Next, moving on to that Guard Vantage that I reviewed a week or two ago, a couple weeks ago. This guy's relatively new to my collection, came to me by way of a mystery box. So really neat design on that one. Again, things that kind of set this watch apart are that internal cyclops for the date magnification and then the movement on that second hand, which is that gear. Then we go to one of the first watches that I ever traded for or purchased once I got into the watch social media groups. This is an eGuard Passages. Now, if you're not familiar with this watch, this is the limited edition, William Shatner edition eGuard Passages. Automatic movement, obviously, with that open heart design. Really neat watch. One thing I really like about the watch is that carbon fiber pattern within the bracelet itself there. These next two watches are watches that you've never seen on my channel before, and there's no real reason other than I just haven't done reviews on them. But this guy is an Invicta S1. I believe they call this the Yakuza model. It's got Yakuza in the case there, and then if you look closely, there is a dragon imprinted on the dial there. This is an automatic movement. This guy runs the Seiko NH35 movement in this Invicta. And then moving on to another one that you guys have not seen. This is a diesel watch. This is the diesel Machinist. This has 4 different time zone settings, and it has that iridescent coating to the dial. This in particular, the dial on this watch is huge. This guy is 55 millimeters, and this guy just simply doesn't get a whole lot of wrist time for 2 reasons. One, because it is so big, it makes my hands look like pipe cleaners. So it's just, this watch is just a little too big for me. The other piece of it is because of the dial design and because it's so big and because of that iridescent coating on it, this guy reflects sunlight and reflects light in general, something fierce. So I could be sitting at a restaurant or sitting out somewhere and blind a waiter or blind somebody from 15 feet away because of the reflection off of this dial. So this watch is just not one that gets a whole lot of wrist time, but yet still is a pretty neat little watch, or pretty big little watch, big watch, I guess you would say. Next in this row is that Kickstarter edition original grain that you may have seen me review not too long back. This is a quartz movement in this watch. This is the original Kickstarter edition. So this is one of the watches that was sent out to the Kickstarter backers when Original Grain originally sent out or started their company. Neat little watch. No complaints about that one. With the exception of, I still have to go through, you guys can kind of see there on the edge. I need to go through and take a Sharpie to the edge of some of these wood links because you can see the unfinished metal. Moving back up here in the corner, this is the oldest watch that I've had in my collection, or the watch that I've had in my collection the longest. This is a Citizen EcoDrive Navajo. Now, the really neat things about this watch are that it is solar powered, and the time on this watch actually syncs to radio frequencies to automatically set the time regardless of what time zone you're in, and it is fully solar powered. Someday in the not too distant future, I will probably take a look at this watch on the channel because there are a lot of interesting things in this watch. And when it comes to that shark mesh or that Milanese strap design or bracelet design, this is what I compare other watches against because I'm a huge fan of the bracelet on this Navajo. It's extremely comfortable to wear, doesn't have any issues with pulling arm hair or anything like that. You have the sizing links in the bottom. So I'll likely take a look at that one on the channel in the future. Next, we are moving to the Bulova Classic Skeleton. Now this guy, again, reviewed on the channel. This is probably one of my favorite watches in this box. I think this watch in and of itself, I just love the design of it. The Bulova is a very solid watch. Good weight and good heft to it. I like the crown at that 2 o'clock or 2:30 position. Just a very, very comfortable watch, and it looks really, really sharp. I love that gunmetal finish or gunmetal coloring to that watch itself. So we move on. It's that Bulova Precisionist that I reviewed a few weeks back. This watch I've worn a couple of times. Very, very comfortable watch. Great just utility watch, weekend warrior. You know, nothing crazy about it as far as design, with the exception of it's got an extremely, extremely smooth sweep to it. Now that is a quartz movement, as I talked about in the video. It's billed as one of the most accurate quartz movements in mass production right at the moment, with that extremely smooth sweep as well. Then we move on to the deep blue section. So this deep blue is that Pro C diver with the Coke bezel that you saw me review a week or two ago. I honestly haven't even worn this watch yet. This watch I did a review on and put it back in the box. Looking forward to this one getting some wrist time. Very typical colors that I like, the black and the red color combination, so that's likely one that could stick around. Moving on to the next deep blue. This is a deep blue Deep Star 1000. Now these are automatic movements in these guys, and you notice I just have them in a stationary box. I don't do anything special as it relates to automatically or maintaining the wind on these, because I know I'm going to set the time each and every time I go to wear it anyway. So that's part of the fun in wearing it for me, is picking up a watch, setting the time, winding it up a little bit. It's just part of my routine. This does have that Sharkmaster Milanese bracelet on it, with sizing links and the double fold over clasp in the bottom. This watch is a comfortable watch to wear, with the exception of it's a little bit thick on the case, but really nice diver. And then we go over to the deep blue Depth Star 3000. This is that deep blue that I received as a part of my watchgang platinum subscription from a few months back. Now the interesting thing about this deep blue specifically is about 2 weeks after I received this watch, I actually traded this watch away for something else, and I realized that I made a mistake with the trade and that I really actually liked this watch and wanted it back. So I actually traded to get the exact same watch back, traded a different watch to the gentleman. He was fine with trading back to me, so I was happy to get this one back in my collection. Now the things that I like about this watch specifically is the lume on this watch, both in the bezel and in the indices themselves, is ridiculous. This has some incredibly good low light visibility on it. It is an automatic watch, and I do like, it's hard to see in this picture, but I do like the wave pattern on that dial. So, going back up here in the corner, this is a watch you guys have not seen me have on the channel as far as a review, but this is a Burberry trench watch. This is a chronograph, quartz chronograph movement in this watch. This is probably my third watch that I purchased outright. I purchased this one off of eBay back almost a year ago now. The thing that I really, really like about this Burberry watch is that bracelet design. I think that bracelet is just really, really cool looking. Very comfortable watch to wear. Probably not one of the most comfortable because there are some edges to this bracelet, but I'm a huge fan of that bracelet design on this Burberry trench. Next is actually My Watch Addictions subscriber request. This is an Undone custom watch. This is what model was this? This was the Undone Urban Modern. So dating back a few videos back, quite a bit back now, one of my subscribers, Sean, actually reached out and said, hey, I'd love to see one of those Undone watches. I'm seeing they're advertised all over the place, and I'd love to get your take on it. So what did I do? Within a week, I went out and actually tracked down this watch, and
acquired this watch to bring in and take a look at a review for him. This is a really neat little watch. I go back and forth. This NATO strap that it's on is one that I just threw on it because I did not like the green canvas that this watch came on. I'm likely going to change up this brown NATO strap. I think this might look better on a black NATO, but that is definitely a watch that's in my collection. Doesn't get a whole lot of wear, but it gets wear nonetheless. Next, we're moving to that Meister Ambassador that I did and reviewed a little while ago. I really, really like the design of this watch, the looks of this watch, the heft of this watch. The build quality on this watch seems pretty decent. Have no complaints so far with that brushed and polished look to the case and to the bracelet. Only complaint that I would have about this watch is the thickness. This is an extremely thick watch, so when I would normally want to wear this watch, for instance, with a suit or something like that, I do have some comfort issues as it relates to wearing cuffed shirts. Again, very, very thick watch, but a watch that I like nonetheless. Now, the next three watches that we get into, and actually I'll sort them around here for you. The next three watches that we get into are all reactors. Now, early on in my hobby and when I first got into watch collecting, I actually traded for this Reactor Warp. Now, this Reactor Warp is a quartz chronograph with big day functionality. I had no experience with Reactor watches prior to receiving this one. I did receive this watch used, so it came to me a little bit marked up. There's some functions that actually don't even work on this watch right now, and I just haven't actually had the time to take a look at it and see what's going on. But one thing, the chronograph movement does not actually function on this watch. The one thing I have to check is I've never replaced the battery in this watch, so I'm hoping that's just what it is. But the thing that I like about the Reactor watches is that they are beaters. I mean, these watches can take a beating without any issue whatsoever. Very, very solid case, very solid bracelet design. They do have a interesting lug attachment design where they use the screw bars on lugs, which, according to Reactor, actually makes them, I forget what it was, like 5,000 pounds of stress or 5,000 times more powerful than a spring bar for maintaining the bracelets on these watches. Now, this also is a Reactor Warp. It's the exact same model. This I purchased, I'll call this new old stock. This is a discontinued model, but it is a model that I purchased brand new. Exact same model as this Reactor Warp, just different color combination. I like wearing this watch both on the weekends, but also every once in a while I'll wear this watch with my work clothes when I'm wearing like navy blue or yellow, anything like that where I can match the colors on these. I'm liking this watch. Finally, we get to the Reactor Proton. Now, this Reactor Proton, I love that gunmetal color. Again, the bracelet design is very similar on all of these. They have that screw-down lug, and the lume on these reactors is amazing as well. I think the lume on these reactors are just as good as the deep blues for low light visibility. Again, all three of these are quartz watches. They're not automatic watches, but these are kind of interesting too in the fact that they actually have screw down pushers. So with the chronograph functionality on these, unless you unscrew the pusher, they're locked in a non-engaged position. So just another interesting design element to it. Really like these guys for, just everyday beaters. Finally, we get to that PK Horology custom Punisher watch that was built for me by Peter over at PK Horology. Loving this watch. I wear this watch quite often, especially when I'm just beating around at the house with that NATO strap. This watch is extremely, extremely comfortable. And then if you guys didn't see the video, the lume on this Punisher dial is absolutely ridiculous. So when this guy is charged up and you see that Punisher skull glow in the dark, it's just really, really cool looking. Now, one other thing to point out is normally the Vostok Anchar that I'm wearing on my wrist right here is normally in this slot right next to the other Vostoks. Keep them all together. But that is my big watch case and what's in it. Now you will see that I have a couple more slots in here, so definitely gonna have some watches filling those extremely soon.
All right, guys, so this is the last box that we are going to take a look at today. Incidentally, this watch box holds a special place in my heart for two reasons. One, this is my grab and go box. So in the event that my house is on fire and I need to get the hell out of my house, this is the box that I grab. For a few reasons, the watches in this box I'm a huge fan of. Also, I have some of my most expensive watches in this box, but this is definitely the go-to box. If the house is burning down, you have to get out. This is the box that I grab and go. So in this, the second thing I like about this watch case is this is actually a watch box that was built for me by one of my friends in one of the social media groups that I'm a part of. This guy does some amazing work with his craftsmanship. I'm loving this watch box. And something as simple as how the pillows fit in the watch case itself, he's got it nailed. I don't know how he does it, but he's got it nailed. It's the pillows and the, just the spacing in this case is on point. I love this watch box. But in here, first we have that Laco Las Vegas that I received as a part of the watchgang Santo subscription. I believe it might have been January, if I remember correctly. But this is an automatic watch. This does have that ETA 7750 movement in it, right within this watch itself. And if I can put this guy back, Laco Las Vegas. The one thing I dislike about this watch that I need to think about changing is this strap. This leather strap on it is a little bulky, so it doesn't get as much time as wrist time as it should or could. I might need to think about changing that strap, but I like the size. I like the fit and finish of this Laco Las Vegas. The next guy I have here is an Oris Artillio moon phase complication. Now, you guys have not seen this watch on the channel at all. I'm possibly going to do it in the future if I can find some time or looking for some content. This watch I actually purchased used probably 8 or 9 months ago. Got a really good price on this Oris complication. The bracelet on this watch, I really like. It's got the hidden deployment clasp or deployant clasp. The one problem that I figured out when I bought this watch is the bracelet on this watch. It looks like somebody took a angle grinder to it because the bracelet's pretty beat on this watch, the finish anyway. The other thing that I will point out is this is probably the biggest thing that's pissed me off or ticked me off in watches, and this is the single reason why I do not use watch winders, is I actually had this watch in the original box that I showed you that's now the Eragon box in those angled watch winders. And what I found happened over time is as the watch would spin in the watch winder, the cases were constantly smacking back and forth. So I've actually got some marks on this case that I need to get this guy refinished or repolished up because I've gotten some marks on this case right from that watch winder. And since then, I don't use that one for anything like this. But again, this does have some pretty neat complications in it. The movement in this is an Oris 581, which is actually based on an ETA, Swiss ETA 2688 automatic movement. Does have that moon phase complication at that 12 o'clock position. Then the day of the week complication at the 3 o'clock position. And then what else do we have there? We have a 24-hour clock, or I'm sorry, a month indicator and a date indicator all built into that. Really nice little watch. Again, I say little watch. The size on this Oris is only 40 millimeters case size in diameter. So it is very small, but it's a very comfortable watch to wear and really thin on that case size. Next three are my only remaining out of order watches that I have left. First one is that limited edition Iron Bridge Crimson Red that you guys saw me get in and review not too long ago. The black and red with the bronze type case design. All three out of order watches are running the Miyota 8215 movements in them. Next, we have the blue limited edition out of order Automatico. Now, both of these watches, I just like the color styling of these. These guys actually do get a fair amount of wrist time. The Crimson Red does not have a hidden deployment clasp or deployment clasp quick release clasp on the strap, but the original limited edition Iron Bridge one does. And then finally, for my out of orders, we have that black Automatico that I purchased and reviewed early on. This guy does have the fold over clasp. As I may have said in a previous video, I used to have an out of order Hulk, the all green Automatico, but I sold that right before St. Patrick's Day, so that guy has gone on to bigger and better things. But I do have the remaining three. I have the Crimson Red, the original limited edition Iron Bridge, and then the black Automatico. Now, if I was to add any more to these, to my out of order pieces, I was thinking about possibly looking for a Iron Bridge Ghost and then actually getting rid of my black Automatico. But I'm not necessarily sure I want to pay that much for the Ghost for what they're going for right now. Next, moving down, have a watch that you guys have not seen on the channel before. It is my Bulova Kirkwood Accutron Kirkwood Automatic. Now, very similar to that Laco Las Vegas, this Bulova Kirkwood Automatic is using an ETA 7750 movement in it for the chronograph functionality. Really, really nice, well-built watch. I'm a huge fan of this Bulova, and this is probably an extremely comfortable watch to wear. Fits me perfectly, and I get a lot of compliments just because of that skeleton design in that display. I'm sorry, in that dial design. Love that Bulova Accutron Kirkwood. Next, we are moving to my balls. Stop laughing. We're talking about my ball watches. So we have the Ball Fireman Enterprise right here. You guys saw this one. This is one that I received in from Sean Gitman over at Watch Collectors Network. This is the Ball Fireman Enterprise. This is the first ball watch that I received, and I'm still loving this watch. This watch, as I mentioned, is in the previous video of it, extremely comfortable to wear with that bracelet. That bracelet on these ball watches, I'm a huge fan of. Now, this Ball Fireman Enterprise runs a caliber ball RR 1103, which is based on the ETA 2824-2 movement in this guy. Next one, we have another Ball Fireman. This is the $200 mystery box ball watch with those blue indices. You can see I actually did opt to swap out that custom black leather and blue leather strap and put on the metal bracelet because I am more of a fan of bracelets than I am leather straps. This guy is running the ETA 2824-2 movement as well. Now, having both of these side by side, you guys can see that there is a size difference in the case diameter on both of these watches. The Fireman Enterprise is 40 millimeter, and then this guy is 43 millimeter. So the Fireman Enterprise is a little bit smaller, but nonetheless still a very nice dress watch when I just want something very simple and basic. Final two, we have that Breitling Colt Automatic, the star of the worst watch unboxing video ever. So this Breitling Colt Automatic is 41 millimeters across diameter. This is running a Breitling 17 movement in it, which is also based on that ETA 2824- movement. Automatic watch, great, inexpensive, I say relatively inexpensive Breitling watch to get into if you are a fan of Breitling watches. This is my first Breitling, but Here's an insider tip, guys. This isn't my only Breitling in my collection. I recently just picked up another Breitling that I'm going to take a look at on the channel with you guys in the not too distant future, so be on the lookout for that. This watch, I do like this watch. However, a friend of mine has been eyeing this watch and bugging me and bugging me and bugging me to purchase this one, so I might actually sell this one to him because, as I mentioned, I do have another Breitling coming in, or that's already in, that I know will get more wrist time than this one. So this one may not be around when we do our next overview of my watch collection, but we'll see, we'll kind of see how that one goes. Do love that Breitling though. And then finally is a tag that you have not seen on the channel at all that I will likely come back at some point and do an overview on. This is a tag Formula 1 Chronograph. Now this is a quartz movement in this tag. Very, very small. This is an older tag, so small diameter, 40 millimeter diameter on this tag. The other thing I will point out is the bracelet size on this is only 20 millimeters. So this watch, I love the looks of this watch, but it wears very, very small on my wrist. So, that's one thing I just kind of have to contend with. Interestingly enough, also, this tag is what helped me learn that I can't just use one of those cheap pin pushers to change the links on this watch, because if you've ever sized a tag watch, the pins are extremely difficult to get in and out, so I actually had to get a different tool to be able to do that. But that is my tag Formula 1 Quartz. So this is my grab and go box. So in case of fire, this box goes with me. Sentimental value on the watch box itself, more expensive watches in the case itself. So this is the one that goes with me in addition to the dogs and the family when the house burns down. All right, guys, so that was the overview of my watch collection as it currently stands. Like, just a reminder, these are just the watches that are in my current everyday wear collection. I still have approximately, let's see here, 30 to 40 watches that are waiting in the wings to be reviewed because I have that really strange need not to wear a watch until I show it to you guys. So we've got definitely got a lot coming up here in the future. AJ, you were pretty close. You guessed that I had, in one of my videos, you guessed that I had 60 watches, but if you're counting today, we took a look at 62 watches that are currently in my wear collection, 11 of those being Eragon watches. So, I'd definitely be interested to hear what you guys think of the collection as a whole. Again, there's some things that I just haven't been able to trade away or haven't had the chance to trade away, some things that I really, really like in my collection, and some other things that I would like in my collection in the future, which will be coming in at some point in the not too distant future. But again, 62 watches in my current collection. If you guys follow us on Instagram or follow me on Instagram at Instagram/watchaddiction.us, you guys will see that I rotate what watch I wear on a daily basis. So typically I'm cycling through these watches. There's some watches that don't get wrist time and don't get to see the Instagram page at all, just because for whatever reason I just don't wear them a whole lot during the day, so they just don't make it there. But it's that time now, guys. It is time to figure out which one of you guys is going to win one of my watches. So I'm going to set up things here, change around a little bit. We're going to change over to the laptop so you guys can see what I'm doing while I'm doing it. And we will be back in just a second to pick which one of my subscribers is going to win one of my watches. All right, guys, now it's time to pick which one of you guys is going to be winning one of my watches. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually jump on the page. You see right here, I have the video that we're talking about, which was the free watch giveaway from a few months back. We've got a load of comments in this one, so I'm glad to see that everybody took part in this little giveaway, and we'll see which one of you guys is going to win one of my watches. Incidentally, completely aside from the giveaway, there's one comment in here that friggin' killed me. This is probably one of the coolest comments that I've ever seen, and it's Christopher Lilly's. He posted this comment about a week ago. Now, why this comment kills me explicitly is because I love, 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 love the fact that the watch collecting hobby is now something that he and his son can get into. So Christopher, and to your son, I'm sorry I didn't grab your son's name. Definitely do me a favor, reach out to me at info@mywatchaddiction.com because I have something special for you and your son. So definitely reach out to me, give me your email address because I'm going to send you guys something. This one just really did, I don't know. I literally got choked up when I read this comment right here. It's just awesome to see a father and son get into a hobby together and to be able to do stuff. So Christopher, to you and your son, completely aside from the watch giveaway, reach out to me, give me your shipping address because I have something special for you guys that I'm going to send to just kind of thank you for touching me on that one. So back to the actual drawing though. My Watch Addiction's free watch giveaway. You guys, obviously, if you're watching this and commented here, you're entered in to be able to win one of my watches. What we're actually going to do is we're going to take the URL of this video and then use a service called YouTube Random Comment Picker at commentpicker.com. What this does is this will load all of the comments from a specific video. So we'll paste in the video address here. And you can see that I have checked filter for duplicate users. So if someone commented more than once, their comment only gets counted once as it relates to the random picker. And you can see we have 71 unique commenters that will be entered in for this chance. So that means each and every one of you that entered has 1 in 71 or 1 in 70 chance of actually winning one of my watches. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and just click the start button now. And what this is going to do is it's going to go pick a random comment to win one of my watches. So here we go. Hank Sin. Hank Sin is the winner of one of my watches. With his comment, I like the Savate. Even the funky 0 instead of the 10. Would love to see your thoughts on Phoebus or Phoebus, however you pronounce it. Either that, the Wave Master, or the Reef Master. Now, interestingly enough, I do have one of these dive watches coming in to take a look at in the future. But Hank, you are the winner of one of my watches. So what I would like you to do is reach out to me at info@mywatchaddiction.com and I will take your contact information and I will send you one of my watches absolutely free to you. I'll pay the shipping, everything. You get full box, everything. And you will see that I take very, very good care of my watches. Thank you guys. Thank you guys very, very much. I had such a blast with this. Congrats to our two winners. Christopher, don't forget to reach out to me also because I have something for you and your son. Thank you guys, thank you guys, thank you guys very much for everything you've done to help make this channel a success. And definitely I look forward to bringing you guys a lot more watches in the future. As I mentioned, I have a lot of watches waiting in the wings to take a look at with you guys that are not in my everyday wear collections currently, that are going to be coming up in the future. So definitely you don't want to miss out. We'll be doing some more giveaways in the future when we have some more special occasions coming up. If you want to get notified, if you want to see or when I release a new video, down there in the right hand corner of the screen is that subscribe button. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that guy. As always, you can reach out to me at mywatchaddiction.com. Drop comments, likes, questions in the comments section below. And as always, you can follow us and see what's on my wrist on a daily basis at Instagram/watchaddiction.us. Thank you very much, guys, for sticking around. I know this is a long video, but I appreciate it. Thank you for sticking around and have a great weekend.